vast amounts of turns. I can wait and see.
I thought there was there was turn. Usually on a day one pitch, when it's a bit tacky like this, as it sometimes is at Edgbaston on day one, it's a slow turn. It's not a sharp turn. It's not going to really trouble the Indian batsmen, especially they're so apt at being able to play against spin. But there's something there, and usually from experience here, day 4, day 5, the pitch does offer a lot of spin. Just Chetan Patel, who did it so prominently for Warwickshire over the years. There is plenty there, and I think these guys will come into their own later on in the Test match.
Here comes Jack Leach then over the wicket to bowl to the left-handed Rishabh Pant. It's a slip in place and drives back towards Leach, who collects in this follow-through. You sense the more likely dismissal, if there is to be one, is not him ripping it past the bat and finding an edge. There we go, on towards that short leg off a bat pad, so it's more likely to be spooned up in the air playing an aggressive shot.
That's any bowler. And
it's defended back up that you make a reasonable point.
I think, I'm still intrigued. It's still offering plenty of. It's got a new ball in as well. It's a little bit harder potentially. Seem maybe a little bit prouder. It's not been as battered and bruised. I would have pursued a bit more with the seam.
Each bowls down the track comes Pant driving past the bowler and driving up the ground for 4 runs. He advanced and showed complete control in pushing that ball firmly past Jack Leach, moving India to 138 for 5.
And this is the danger here, where obviously you bring your spinners back on to give your seamers a little bit of a brief rest, a bit of respite to sort of energize and go a little bit later on as the game goes on. And you allow someone to go and attack the spinner, and especially someone like Pat, he will be doing a lot of that, as we've literally just seen there, which puts the pressure back on the seamers when they come back.
Leach bowling, this is clopped into the leg side, going to be 4 more. The dive from the fielder, 20 yards or so from the boundary, backward square leg is in vain. And back-to-back boundaries from the bat of Rishabh Pant sees him into the 30s, 142 for 5. If you were to create the scenario that was likely to see Leach go for a few, it would be day 1 pitch in England against India and Rishabh Pant.
Yeah, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. Well, I say disaster. It's obviously been a couple of balls from Leach, and he usually takes time to get into his spells as well. So you just want to dry it up and keep it tight.
Leach in, forward comes Pant again, launching down the ground. Is that going to be 6? I fancy it might be. Yes, by some distance. 4-4-6, and the gamble for England is not paying off here. 148 for 5.
That's exactly what I was talking about. If you're a captain here and you're seeing how Pat's going after it, you want to keep India as low as possible. They've put on a fairly quick partnership here as well. They're coming at the spinner, and they know that they're going to try and hit him out of the attack, which puts the pressure straight back onto the seamers when they come back on. But not only is the pressure back on them, they're coming in with a bit more on the back foot, and then they have to go about their spells, building a bit more pressure, keeping things tight. They can't be as aggressive. All that sort of energy that they had about being close to getting wickets has gone out the window, and India feeling a bit more comfortable. So that's why I would have pursued with the seamers for a fraction long, especially with the overheads the way that they are right now.
Partnership worth 50. Coming just 54 balls as well as Leach is in. Forward comes Pant, thinks about something aggressive, decides against it. I'm getting out of the way. It's just a brief cameo because Daniel Norcross in a glorious peacock shirt is ready to join us on SENZ Cricket with Razeen, made in New Zealand for New Zealand conditions.
Yeah, it's one of those shirts, Mr. Norcross, that you wouldn't be out of your depth sat in the Hollies, would you? I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see you there later on, strutting your stuff in the stands and chugging a few beers and creating a few beer snakes.
This shirt is an absolute corker, even though I say it myself.
I've just come back from Bali, and that definitely fits into the crowd over there.
Bali, I've never been to Bali. I'd love to.
Definitely worth it.
Highly recommended.
October, end of summer foray. Just scooting around on the scooter and beeping at a few of the tourists, locals. And, it was beautiful.
That sounds right up.
The beaches were stunning. The surf was amazing. Not that I particularly did it justice at all. But it's an island to be visited for sure. With a shirt like that.
Starts a new over. Jadeja in his sights, and Jadeja flips his ball nicely off his knee out towards deep square leg. There's two fielders after it. One is Jack Leach. The other is Matthew Potts, the tireless Potts. And they come through for two more. 150 up with that, and the partnership is 52. Going along very nicely here. Punt and Jadeja. And it's a perilous moment, really, for England.
Yeah, it's one of those where you sort of seen the scoreboard the way that it was, 75 for 4, was it, and 100 and something?
98 for 5.
98 for 5, there you go. So you go, just sensing we could get them out for under 200.
Well, one more into the bowlers.
Exactly, and you sort of, this is why I say I would have pursued a little bit longer with the seamers rather than bringing Leach back on, because it could just wrestle it back in India's favour.
Broad is in, left alone. That's no run. Yes, I mean, there was an option for maybe a bit of Potts, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think he potentially started a little bit of momentum going back towards India in the scoreboard. I think towards the end of his spell, he was trying too hard to get a few wickets, and he ended up leaking a few extra boundaries. There was a succession boundaries that he got hit for. So, I think maybe the skipper obviously not wanting to overbowl him because he's still young, still learning his trade. But is Stokes available? Is he bowling, or did he injure his back a little bit too much? Did he niggle it?
One of the great mysteries of this season is whether Stokes is available, because he did come on at Headingley against New Zealand, but got pumped around a bit actually for 4 or 5 overs. Broad is in, left alone again. There, Jadeja outside the off stump, through to the keeper. Because you would think he would certainly be a good option. I'll tell you the option that I wonder about with two left-handers. And if you're going to go and have a look at Leach, the route, Stokes was not shy to use route. So sometimes in the most extraordinary and ridiculous circumstances, it seems to me, at both Headingley and at Trent Bridge.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of the ball spinning away. It's not spinning a huge amount, and it's good that Stokes is backing Leach and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to back you in all situations. Gives him a bit of that confidence, but gives Pant a little bit of free rein to swing.
Broad round the wicket, too wide, left alone. Goes into the gloves of Billings, and again there's no run.
And just when, especially with someone like Pant, he loves to run at the ball, a bit of turn. It might be slow turn, but it's a bit of turn away. He plays with quite an open blade at times as well. He's more likely to sky one than he would do if Leach if he's swinging into the arch, the arc of the bat.
Might also bring slip into play, mightn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Make sure you stand respectfully deep, though, because it's going to come at you quite hard.
But, you watch how Broad's bowling here at the left hand. He's just simply running away. He's just building pressure. He's saying to Jadeja, come at me here.
Yes, and again, Broad that's a little bit shorter and taken around about waist height by Billings.
But if you can go with that for a while, they came out hard. They were always going to play their shots. They're attacking batsmen, both of these players. If you can just hang it out there for a little while, if you've gone for a few too many runs, and you say, okay, well, you guys want to play your shots? Well, you're going to have to come into our zones. We could do this all day, but we're going to not let you get away from us scoreboard-wise. Broad taking it away, and then you've got Root, who's just going to take it away as well from the back.
Here is Broad. Jadeja leaving another one that hits a foot mark and goes a little bit. But there are 4 or 5 balls that over that Jadeja had absolutely nothing to do with and had no interest in it. Broad's cutting a slightly disgruntled dash at the minute. End of the over here on SEN Test Cricket with Razeen, the Paints Kiwis Trust. 150 for 5. So, Roots, how a word.
We're sticking with Leach because he's just taken his cap. I'm assuming he's. But interestingly, just in between there, I was watching Stokes, and sometimes when you're a bowler, you tend to, when you're starting to think about getting loose and starting to think about getting ready, you do the old little side shuttles, and he might just want to be keeping warm. But I think he would be, if he is going to bowl today, it probably would be within the next 5 to 10 overs. It'd be a perfect opportunity for him. If he's not going to bowl this game, then that wouldn't be happening, I would suggest.
Well, he bowled the second innings. It's a strange, he went through the entirety of the first innings at Headingley not bowling, and then he did come on the second innings. So I just don't think we really know, and we're never going to find out from Stokes and the England management, as Leach is in and Punt shovels the ball really along the ground up to mid-off, but straight to Stokes, who's there waiting, and there's no run.
Yeah, I mean, look, there might be a little niggle there that he obviously doesn't want to push too far. We saw him get up very gingerly when he tried to dive for that ball, arching and bending and all sorts of stuff with his back. So there might be something there that's just meaning he's not entirely 100% right.
Leach in, fired in, forward in defence. Comes Punt, and he makes Leach know that he's got to that ball, and he's defended it. Pulls the pose for a bit.
And what does Punt do? He's gone at him hard in the previous over, and he's run at him 6-4-4. He's looking like he's defending him, but is he going to run at another one? Is he?
Yeah, I think he's going to sweep this one though. But he's not going to get. Well, he might get a run, but no more than a run as the throw comes in at the non-striker's end from Potts. Is that Potts? Is that Crawley?
It looks like it's Potts.
There was a firm sweep, and it was well fielded actually, diving to his right. It's Potts diving to his right. He manages to cut the ball off. A couple of changes in shirt number in this match, which is quite strange.
Yeah, we were trying to. I don't think we got to the bottom of it. Potts, is that his county shirt number? Is that he's sticking with what he knows, or
could be that, couldn't it? Leach is in, and Jadeja just really cleverly. A very big gap in front of square on the offside as he lurches forward and just pushes it. That gap gets a single.
Made even bigger by the fact that it was Stuart Broad gingerly after at his age. A dad now as well. You know, dads tend to move a little bit slower when dad to be. So apologies. But
152 for 5. A couple of singles in this over now. Punt's back on strike. Is he going to come after it? As he turns this ball on the bounce to short leg, where Pope is under the lid and does the fielding. Earlier today, as I was at Test Cricket and SEM, would have heard Adam Collins, Jeff Lemon, Jeremy Coney and co calling a 10-wicket win for Australia against Sri Lanka. Congratulations to the Aussies there. With spin was the king. Lions swept, and Travis Head with 4 for in 2.5 overs, I think it was.
Travis Head?
Yes. Next delivery just turned into the onside. There's no run. Part-time offies. One turned an absolute mile, hit a bail, which flew off leg stump and straight into the groin of David Warner, who was fielding at a sort of leg slip. And he was in some discomfort. We're talking about David Warner's groin on SEN Test Cricket with Racine, made in New Zealand for New Zealand conditions. Ever happened to you?
Well, I was wondering how long it would take you to start talking about this, Mr. Norcross. I've not been hit in the gonads by a bail, but you and Kimber seem to be obsessed with this story. He's so willfully managed to avoid speaking about on air for the sake of the trauma I went through a number of years ago.
Yeah.
But if you must talk about groins, it's either David Warner's or I guess you guys would like to talk about mine. But the less said, the better.
We'll tease it out of you.
Moral of the story is wear a box and watch Ben Stokes come on to bowl.
Well, you called it 4 slips, but here is Ben Stokes. Round the wicket to Jadeja, who defends across his front pad and turns the ball into the onside. There's a big gap. There's a deep mid-wicket, who is Matthew Potts, who's everywhere at the moment. And so they get an easy single, 153 for 5. Punt back on strike with deep backward square leg. I mean, he might be a long leg. He's a bit squarer than a normal long leg. There's 4 slips at a deep mid-wicket, which is an intriguing position. Mid-off, mid-on, both quite straight. And extra cover. That's it.
I also didn't think that it was going to be this way round. I thought that, no ball, first ball, of course. But I didn't think Stokes was going to be replacing Broad. I thought, if anything, it was going to be replacing Leach and just keep with the seam for a while.
Stokes is in, and would you believe it, Punt has gone for a sweep sweep.
A run down the wicket, one leg sweep.
That's a shot and a half, but it's thrown into his pad. He's got nothing from it. But maybe he sees it's a free hit because he's played so much white ball cricket. I mean, we're just going to see this again on the replay screen, and it's a wonderful piece of mad cavalry.
He's also trying to hit that over deep fine leg, not square leg. It was a ridiculous shot, really.
She connected then. No run. Stokes into him again. Short flashed at and missed. This is fascinating. The psychology here of Punt and how he's playing Stokes. At the moment, I wouldn't say he's playing him in orthodox fashion, to say the least. So short outside the outside. Kind of a little bit of movement. Goes in the air and then just off the pitch it nipped a bit. Punt played a flat-footed waft.
I think there was a freebie there for Punt. He's just obviously missed it because it was too wide for him, if anything. No backward point as well. So
Stokes in once more. Comes forward. This punt is a thick inside edge onto pad. It rolls out to the offside. It's picked up by Poop. And there's no run. Stage has dropped his bat. Then ran back to make sure he was in. Now he's going to collect the bat.
we snuck into a one-day game.
It feels like it.
It feels that energy about the urgency these two are playing by.
Yes, it feels like they're 154 for 5 or 39.3, and they're desperately trying to get up to about 260 at the close of their 50 overs. Yeah, why is he out? I think Punt wasn't ready. A more ruthless man would just have kept going. Because the batter's supposed to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite off-putting for a bowler though. You're running in and someone's not actually looking at you. Billy Godwin used to do it all the time.
Really? Stokes in, forward comes Punt, places very well, just pushes it square of the wicket. There's a vacant point. And much of the offside is vacant, to be honest with you, in front of square. And so he gets through, drops through for an easy 2.
Yeah, I have to say, I get the theory of not having a point if you're going to bowl certain lengths or you're going to bowl certain lines. But that, for me, it wasn't a bad ball. It was sort of fourth, maybe fifth stump, running away, top of off stump line. Pants just pushed it down. He's got an easy 2 there. You don't want your good balls going for runs. That's exactly what you want to get away from. If you can cover your bad balls, great, but good balls should not be going for 2 easy runs like that.
Stokes in, that's chopped nicely down through backward point for 4. There is nobody there, and it's an easy shot for Punt to play. And he moves with that to 46 in the total to 160 for 5. This partnership proving very dangerous at the moment. It does seem like a curious field. Really, are you taking out the 4th slip and putting them in at sort of a point, or are you maybe moving the extra cover around to plug that gap and then put mid off further out?
Well, if anything, I would probably have my extra cover backward of point, a bit more of a traditional field.
Stokes in, Punt drives in the air momentarily. Spoony a little bit, that one.
But also, I mean, have we seen the ball go anywhere near 4th slip?
No.
So I get the conditions and I get the fact that it's jagging around. You want to keep as many positive catches in this for as long as you can. However, for me, Ben Stokes is coming round the wicket. He's looking to take the ball away. He's not someone who usually tends to bowl, stump to stump line. He can stray with that ball that goes, he gets just a bit too far past the vertical and pushes it wide. We saw it with an easy run to the ball before, and then he's just given him an absolute freebie. Had Punt connected to the other one that was much wider, there would have been 2 boundaries with no protection out there. It's a curious field. They haven't bowled with a point very much throughout the day. Now that would have been the chat that they would have had at the start about their business, and I get the theories behind it. However, in this instance, I can't understand why you don't have a point. We want to be positive, we want to take wickets, but that's just easy runs.
You can't see the point in either way. Leach in to start a new over, defended by Jadeja. Back to the bowler here on SEN Test Cricket with Rosine, the Pates Kiwis Trust.
You definitely spotted that way before me.
She picked up on that. Leach is in. He's got a slip to his root, and it's pushed back to him by Jadeja. Firm push off the front foot. Does well to get across to his left and field the ball of his own bowling. Jadeja's 28. Punt 46, 160 for 5. Leach in again, just 2 or 3 paces, and that's flipped into the onside, but straight to mid-wicket. There's no run there. The punt cannot stay still. It's like those punts are on fire.
He's full of energy. Indian hummingbird.
Ooh! Leach in, flipped away, this time to mid-wicket once more. Sprawling stopper, sliding stopper. I think he lost his footing there, did Johnny Bairstow, on the greasy wicket in the square.
The 2-footed football slider to get to the ball. Just also noticed as well that Leach has upped his pace. He's firing it in a lot more, which just means it makes it a bit more difficult for these batters to come down the wicket to him.
Leach in, that was distinctly fired in and worked to short mid-wicket. Stay around. It's almost like a Jaya Surya dart, that one. I want to know more about these Indian hummingbirds, but I've got to get off air in a minute and hand over to Henry Moran. I do love a hummingbird. Last ball of the over is clipped up to long on for a single. Only run of the over, 161 for 5 here on SEN Test Cricket with Rosine, made in New Zealand for New Zealand conditions. I'm taking a break and leave you in the very capable company of Stuart Meeker, and then to take over from me and take you up to tea, it's going to be Henry Moran.
Yeah, so India just ticking along nicely after being 98 for 5, now 161 for 5. Pant fairly set in at 46, just approaching the 50 mark. Jadeja aptly providing ample support as well. Just is that tricky phase where it's always going to be a partnership, one that lasts a bit longer. The way these two can bat, potentially, if we're not careful, can create a partnership that potentially hurts England later on and frustrates them, because it's, as a bowling unit, it's extremely frustrating to see when it's 98 for 5, you're licking your lips at an early tea and you're going, oh, suddenly they're well set.
Here comes Stokes around the wicket, bowling full, fended away into the offside by Jadeja.
Yeah, it's a tricky phase, and it's one that traditionally, as a bowling unit, can frustrate you. And when you're frustrated as a bowling side, you try too many things, you do things differently. When if you had said to England at the start of the day, India would be all out for 250, you would have taken that. But it's the mental side of the battle that goes on, and you start bowling looser deliveries as a result.
Full again from Stokes, this time a little bit more angled towards the leg stump. Broad throws in from mid-on, but Jadeja's not left his ground. It's about greediness, isn't it? You get that sense that, okay, hello, we could be in here. And suddenly, maybe you try that golden ball too many times and you don't necessarily just stick with the plans that were doing the business. The ball's getting older.
Yeah, granted, batting is getting easier, and I mean the conditions haven't changed an awful lot. It's just the state of the ball, the prominence of the seam means it's nipping around a lot less.
Stokes bowls down the leg side. Billings takes it. There's half an appeal from Bairstow at third slip, but nothing doing. 161 for 5 it remains. Jadeja on 29, Pant on 46. It's Test match cricket with Rosine, the bank Kiwis trust here on SENZ.
Yeah, you think, what do England do here? Do they just settle and they understand that this period now is usually in the batsman's favour? We want to try and keep it as tight as we can. We don't go for too many runs. Or do we go, well, just one more wicket gets us into that bowling attack?
Oh, that's a rearing delivery from Ben Stokes. It leaps up off a length. It's well played by Jadeja, dropping it down towards point and running through for a single. 162 for 5. But England's problem for the last couple of years has been getting through the tail. We did that game against India at Lords in this series. Weird that that's out all that time ago. No ball as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's not to take anything away from the lower order. The lower order in last year, but this series for India were probably the difference between England winning and losing a fair few of those games. games.
Stokes is in, squirts away off the outer half of the bat. The vacant point is going to rush away towards the scoreboard. It will be hauled in by Ollie Pope, who's making up ground quickly, but not before a couple of runs have been taken. I think up through 3, I think they have. 166 for 5.
I'd love to get a wagon wheel up, actually, and see how many runs England have leaked through that point region today. Not just in the boundary side of things. You wonder whether if they had a backward point and a traditional backward point, would they have been able to cut off some of those boundaries? But not only that, the 1s and 2s, the ones that you would never even think about running as a batting side or batting unit, if you had a man in there. I wonder how many of India's runs have come through that region today.
Stokes in around the wicket again, dropping it short, left alone by Jadeja.
Is this something that they had throughout the New Zealand series?
No, it's not. And the approach has been aggressive throughout. There are a lot of catches for England throughout. And as we've seen with this England side, and aggression works in 2 ways. Bat-ball, if you like. The aggression that you have with the bat won't always work as a policy with the ball. As Stokes comes in again, beginning this approach of 15 or so paces around the wicket, and it's short again, this time straighter and helped on its way down towards fine leg from the batter of Jadeja. Leach will field in front of the stand at the far end of the ground. 167 for 5 after 42 overs. And what I mean by that is sometimes you know better than me, you have to be defensive to a degree and patient. And eagerness to try and bounce teams out, as we saw at Lord's last year against India, that really left them completely undone in that game when Shami and Bumrah started smacking it around. Actually, the aggression sometimes needs to be a little bit tempered with the ball.
Yeah, I was saying this earlier when almost we were talking about swing and seam with the seamers. Mature sides just understand that there's, I think Aussie's teams of old were so good at this, which is why they won so many games. Not obviously because they had prominent players, but they also recognised there were just periods where there was nothing going in your favour as a bowling unit. No swing, no seam, no sideways lateral movement.
Leach bowls start of a new over, pushed into the offside by Ravi Jadeja.
And what do you do in those situations? And actually, the top of the off stump, the ball that most people have to just defend, and so hits the top of the splice, is difficult to play.
Leach bowls. There's an appeal for LBW, which is rather retracted. As he pirouetted towards the umpire, he then realised on reflection it was too high and there was nothing doing.
And so it's a mature side that can recognise that's what we need to do repeatedly.
Pushed up the ground by Jadeja to pick up 1. He moves to 32, and India up to 168 for 5.
And as we said earlier, it can be frustrating when you're trying to chase a game, when you're trying to get the opposition out, when nothing's in your favour, to go with the bouncer technique or employ, as it were, the bouncer tactics. How we want to get a wicket, we want to be aggressive, we want to put people on the back foot. If that doesn't work, there's nothing wrong with going back to a plan of, right, we're just going to be as boring as we can do for the next 10, 20, 30 overs until such a time as the ball does start coming into our favour. And that's the sign of a maturing side, I think, when they know that they can do that consistently.
Leach bowls, clipped into the leg side. There won't be a single there. Pant is on the brink of his 10th test of 50. And he can't find the gap as Bairstow mops up at mid-wicket. Leach again with a ball in hand under cloudy skies. Shirt untucked, comes in towards us. Pant again looking for a gap on the leg side. This time we'll find it. Might find 4 as well. Chase on for the fielder. I think it's in vain. It is a collision of fielder, sponge and ball. We'll see 50 for Rishabh Pant. 4 onto the India total. It's come from 51 balls. It tends to be the way he plays.
It was a dismissive shot, that from Pant. It didn't look like he put too much effort into the shot itself. And I think it's the added pace that Leach has been bowling at to try and negate them running at him. that, to an extent. It didn't look like he took some big swipe at the ball, but stood back, got into position and just flicked it, and the pace has done the rest of it. Maybe a bit of a slipperier outfield has probably helped with that sort of skidding across the surface, but very well played.
Leach bowling to Pant, who picked up 2 last delivery to move to 4, forgive me, it's on to 53. And the end of the over, 43 have gone, 172 for 5. Leach has not looked particularly threatening as yet.
No, but I think, day one, there was a little bit of turn, but it was a slow turn. I actually wouldn't, I mentioned it to Dan earlier, wouldn't be too shy about giving Joe Root a little bit of go. He does turn the ball. He does get wickets. Yes, he might come into his own when the ball is turning a bit more day 4, day 5. But with 2 left-handers in at the crease, Leach having bowled 5 overs, gone for nearly 30 runs, it might just be something a little bit different. They're used to now playing Leach. They're used to playing with the spin. Let's get the ball turning away slightly, get them second-guessing a little bit whether it is going to turn, whether it's not.
3 slips in place for the start of a new over from Ben Stokes. And left alone, not far away from that off stump. There's a good lead from Ravi Jadeja. And now Joe Root can't not bowl himself. He's no longer captain. So Ben Stokes says to him, right, Joe, I need you to bowl a bit. Because that was always the issue, is people said, well, he's not bowling himself and he's better than perhaps he thinks he is.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Well, especially when you've got a mainstream spinner in the side and you're choosing to bowl yourself over and above. It's sort of like you're in catch-22 there as a skipper sometimes.
Jadeja waiting on 32. In comes Stokes. It's met with the face of the bat towards Broad, running in from mid-on. He picks up cleanly, has a little conversation with Jimmy Anderson, who's in the thick jumper on a blustery day.
I wonder as well whether, because there's that much larger sort of boundary on that side, with the odd men out, ball turning into them, they might just be thinking, we don't want someone spinning that away from the left-handers.
Stokes bowls jammed into the ground. Think about a single. Throw comes in and hits the stumps. They might now get through for a single, and Jadeja and Pant are eager to run whenever there's an opportunity. It's the substitute fielder that did a good job.
Yeah, so the theory being that Leach is bowling the end where as a left-hander you're hitting towards that really deep boundary, and if they were going to go after it, well, it brings those catches into the game. But as we're seeing, they're still managing to get their boundaries away. They're still finding the gaps, and even when the man is out there, they're beating him by 5-10 yards either side. So, and let's be honest, the other boundary is not exactly small. They'd have to play a pretty darn good shot to get it through there. Root does generally tend to bowl it a little bit fuller as well. So,
last ball and no ball. This next one is left alone by Jadeja once again. Not far from that off stump. 173 for 5.
I just think with the way that the game is poised at the moment, they're not far off from the 100-run partnership. That's come pretty quickly. Just a little bit of, with 2 or 3 overs, it's not going to really make the biggest of differences, no more than it has done with Leach coming on, Stokes coming on here. And who knows, pick up a wicket and suddenly we get back to the seamers. They've had a nice break.
Stokes is in, pushing down on the ball is Ravi Jadeja out into the offside, up on his toes. And there'll be no run. It's 173 for 5. The partnership continues to build. It's worth 75 now. Test match cricket with Razeen, made in New Zealand for New Zealand conditions. I reckon Razeen would work over here too. Similar conditions.
You say that again?
I reckon Razeen would work okay over here in terms of conditions.
Do you reckon?
I reckon.
I'd like to see a bit more putts again, if I'm honest. I think, he went for a few more in those last couple of overs.
In comes Stokes, bowling, played with a straight bat into the offside.
But you look at Anderson's bowled 15, Broad's bowled 12. Anderson usually, of course, kept it very nice and tight, as he always does. Broad maybe gone for a few more than he would have liked, but he's looked to find Vettel. Potts, being young, he's always going to go for a few more, but he's also got that youthful energy. He's a wicket taker as well. It might just wrestle it back a little bit here from these two. And now that he's got two left-handers as well, he's not having to deal with the right-hand, left-hand combination, which is why they brought Pant out, I think, a little bit earlier than they would normally.
Another no ball. In comes Stokes and bowling, defended once more by Jadeja.
The sixth of the innings. Well, how many? Was it 3 from Stokes though now?
Yeah.
Actually, how many is that? Stokes. Who bowled the other ones? Jimmy never normally bowls a no ball.
Yeah. Let's have a little look.
Broad must have been one of them. He might have been fairly close.
One each for Broad and Potts. And 4 for Stokes now.
Yeah, 4. Oh, there you go. Doesn't normally bowl that many, does he?
Stokes in again, round the wicket, and dropping it in very short, digging the ball into the middle of the pitch. There is nothing that Jadeja wants to do with it, and the over comes to an end. A smile and a joke between Stokes and Ali Dar, and that will be tea. It's a good session in the end for India. 174 for 5, a partnership worth 76 between Rishabh Pant, who's sporting a rather pleasing mullet, and Ravi Jadeja. Pant on 53, Jadeja on 32, and having been asked to bat first. Though they lost 3 wickets early in the session, they have fought back.
Yeah, it's a much better session for India. They were staring down the barrel at it at one stage. 98 for 5. Pant, he was always going to come out swinging, and they chucked him up the order to maybe switch the momentum, which he kind of did, but then the big support in Jadeja coming in, as he actually often does as well, is wrestle the game back in India's favour. I wouldn't say it's quite in either team's favour just yet. It's very evenly poised, and England could just as likely come back out after tea and get another couple of wickets very quickly, and suddenly they're straight back on top. Still to dismiss them for below 200, but if India can come out again, get another little quick 50 on top of the score that they've just got, suddenly England build a little bit more frustration than what they've faced already so far. So much better from India. England will probably be a little bit disappointed in the fact that they let them get away so quickly with this new partnership, but still England would be still very happy with the fact that they've gotten 5 already within 2 sessions, a little bit of rain around. Hopefully they can still dismiss them in the next session if there's no more rain, and I think they'll be okay. They'll be happy with this, with where the game is set for them currently at the moment.
So what have we seen today? Well, Shuman Gill was out for 17, caught by Crawley off the bowling of Anderson. Vijara fell in the same fashion for 13. Hanuma Vihari made 20 before being out LBW to Potts. It was so out, he didn't bother reviewing it. Virat Kohli made 11 before being bowled off an inside edge by Potts. He was having a brilliant summer. And then Shreyas Iyer was caught behind down the leg side by a flying Sam Billings off the bowling of Anderson, who's got 3 for. I went for 15. Since then, though, Jadeja and Pant have put on 76, with Pant on 53, a quicker than a runner ball. Jadeja 32 from 65. England, well, they've used 5 bowlers thus far. Anderson the pick of them, 3 for 41, 2 for 39 for Matthew Potts. And that is the lay of the land here at Edgbaston, as we see some dignitaries strolling around the outfield. Either that or there's been an escape from an executive box.
No Jarvo. No Jarvo. I thought he was maybe going to sneak into the crowd, but
no. Well, he was on earlier. Did you see him?
Jarvo?
Well, Jarvo Mark II. There was a different Jarvo.
It was not the Jarvo.
No, wearing a Jarvo shirt though.
Was he?
Yeah.
Way to start a revolution.
Well, I know. Right then, 174 for 5. You're listening to SENZ Test Cricket with Razeen the Paints Kiwis Trust. We'll be back shortly, and not too far away from the evening session of this Test match.
Hi Australia, this is Sam Kerr, Australian football team captain and Chelsea FC footballer. Aussies have voted mate as having the most satisfied NBN customers in the country in CanStar Blues 2021 Satisfaction Awards. Mate scored 5 stars in 5 categories, beating all its competitors. If you want award-winning Aussie service together with great value internet, then Mate has your back. Search Mate online to find out more.
The AFL Record keeps you up to date with the latest news, features and stats. This week, our team investigates the pending decision on including a team from Tasmania, with many high-profile football and media identities saying it's a no-brainer. Tassie must be admitted. Catch the kids page, player profiles and team lists. Plus, we ask, just how far can the Blues go? Brought to you by 4 and 20, Australia's original fan food. The AFL Record Round 16 edition. Available on game day and still only $5.
The Sounding Board with Craig Hutchison and Damien Barrett. It's sport, it's the media, it's talking about the issues that matter.
How are you? Getting ready for grumpy season, by the way?
I'm always ready for that. Am I into it yet?
Let me let everyone in on this. So this is how thin-willed the media is, particularly the AFL media. From Queen's birthday until the end of July, everyone goes ratty in media. But you know, like how there's duck season, there's official opening day where people start firing each other on duck season. The day after Queen's birthday is grumpy season in the AFL.
It's about the halfway point, you reckon?
Yep, 40 days and 40 nights. And you and I have been, by the way, very active participants in grumpy season, so I don't think we're distancing ourselves from this, particularly in Melbourne. The winter kicks in, the games get...
Yeah, only 6 games a week for 3 weeks in a row.
People you know who are a bit higher up in their businesses are taking European trips that you haven't been allowed to do.
Yes.
So-and-so, what do you mean so-and-so's gone to Bali for 7 days and I'm filling in for him?
The Sounding Board podcast with Hutchie and Damo. Based to drink wise. If you're choosing to have a drink, choose to drink wise.
Still hunting around for incredible value? Ditch the magnifying glass and check out the Kogan Money. There's no annual fee, plenty of tantalising rewards, and if you meet the spend requirements, you could earn $400 in credit to spend on Kogan.com. So go on and make the switch to a great value credit card at koganmoney.com.au/radio.
Offer ends August 21. T's and C's, credit criteria, other fees and charges apply. Credit provider National Australia Bank Limited.
Can you ever be free of guilt? Once you're in a cycle of guilt, it affects every part of your life. Before you know it, you've created a monster. So how did you stop feeling guilty, believing and remembering that Jesus has died for my sin and he wants to forgive me? It's powerful, and that's what keeps me going. Dealing with your guilt can be tough, but there is hope to be free. I'm Richard Fox from messagesofhope.org.au. For help to be free from guilt, go to messagesofhope.org.au.
Oh, a good mark to Wilson. He plays on a full pace and kicks a beauty to Thomas. Thomas gives off to Harris. Harris closes in on 50. Good wait. He's tackled by Smith. Or is it Williams? Williams scrabbles for the ball. Kicks it to a guy in blue who kicks it to some other guy in blue. Now some tall bloke has the ball. He kicks it to an even taller bloke. Kick. Handball. Kick. Don't miss the best bits. You won't miss a moment if you drink wise. Proudly brought to you by Drinkwise.
Stay in pole position this week with radio's #1 motorsport show, The Driver's Seat with Matt McKeldin and Stephen Johnson.
We spoke to reigning Bathurst champion Lee Holdsworth, who's been split up with his winning partner Chaz Mostert for the great race this year.
Chaz won't have anyone to keep him calm this year, see? I control him.
He's with Fabian.
He's with Fab.
Oh, Fab.
Yeah, right. They'll both be so busy doing their hair all week.
That's this week on The Driver's Seat.